Hey, Cap, how do we know the good guys from the bad guys? If they're shooting at you, they're bad.
Hello and welcome to Brand X Reviews. This is going to be a quick look at the upcoming Captain America 3 film, not 2 but 3 because we have some news on that. And then we're going to have a bit of a rant about the upcoming Captain America film 2, which opens in the UK on the 26th, which is Wednesday, so pretty much in a week's time.
Yeah, more or less a week's time. We haven't seen it yet. This isn't going to be like a review of the film. We're just talking about mainly news about the third film that you've got, and
to start with.
Just some general comic book background on the Winter Soldier itself. So
just some hypothesis on what we expect from the film. So basically, just to start with, there's a lot of people might be aware about the Marvel franchise, the cinematic universe. This year we're going to have Captain America 2 and Guardians of the Galaxy. Next year we have Avengers 2 or Avengers Age of Ultron and Ant-Man. And then the year after that it was announced that in May 6th, 2016, there was going to be an as yet unannounced Marvel film, and a lot of people, myself included, thought it was going to be a Doctor Strange film.
Yeah, that was the assumption I was going on as well.
But then the announcement was made by DC and Warner Brothers that they were pushing back their Batman vs Superman film to May the 6th, the same day, not just like around the same time, but literally the same day as this untitled film. So I don't know like who was panicking kind of thing, but I mean, a choice between Doctor Strange or a Batman vs Superman film, I would go see the Batman vs Superman film, to be honest.
No, you're lying. You go and see both.
I would go see both. If I had to choose one,
yes, if you had to choose one, otherwise, I know you. I'm the same way. We're going to see both.
Exactly, yeah. But now, anyway, they've announced May 6th, not Doctor Strange. It's Captain America 3. So it probably gives it a little bit more chance that people will go see the Marvel project than the DC one. I mean, like I said, hardcore fans like us will go see both, but
not everybody's quite up for seeing two movies in the same day.
Exactly. So that's nothing new anyway. That was kind of announced late last week, Thursday, Friday, I think, from memory. So what's today? The 18th, isn't it? Of March.
Yeah.
So it was like the 13th or 14th, I think, around about when this was announced. So that's pretty much it anyway. I mean, we're kind of thinking, obviously, the second film is going to kind of build on something that can be followed on in Avengers 2 and then Captain America 3 in terms of that character. One other thing I would kind of add to that as well is I've kind of read recently that Chris Evans, the actor that plays Captain America, has said that he's contemplating giving up acting for a while at least until his contract with Marvel expires. So they're probably doing this to get the most out of him while they've got him, basically. Be a bit of a shame, but I think by that time we'll have had him in 5 or 6 films. So I think the character will have run its course by then anyway.
Yeah.
It don't mean he can't come back, like, say, 7 or 8 years down the line. I mean, Sean Connery said he wasn't going to do another James Bond film, but he came back again and again, so...
Ultimately, if the guy doesn't want to do them, he doesn't want to do them anymore. I mean...
I wouldn't say he's been a jerk about it or anything like that. So.
Well, no, I mean, it's perfectly reasonable saying, once my contract's up, I'm thinking of taking a... I mean, it's a career to him. He's got, it's his right to do that.
Yeah, exactly. So
it's better that than just like coming back in and sleepwalking through your films and
Bruce
generally
Willis.
being
like John McClane.
Yeah, not just him. There are other actors that have done it.
Yeah.
But yeah, certainly, still with Die Hard 5, he's the most infamous for that.
Yeah, sleepwalking.
I guess you've done this before.
Don't encourage him.
Anyway, so that's Captain America 3 anyway, so that will be due out on May the 6th, 2016. So another 2 years to go yet, so we're already talking about what we're going to be doing that day. I think we'll go see whichever one. Now, which one will we go see first? That's the question, because I mean, it's alright to say we'll see both. This is
I think there's going to be a coin toss involved here.
Exactly, yeah. Anyway, so that's that. So I think now we'll just kind of do a kind of pre-release thoughts about Captain America 2, what we expect and what we know.
Yeah, kind of what we know, partly from research we've done ourselves, partly from like general comic book knowledge. I am going to say we're getting into at least danger of spoiler territory if you don't know the comics that well.
Potentially, I mean, we're assuming a lot here, but it could be spoilers.
Yeah, so far they're kept reasonably close to at least the spirit of the comics, if not the letter of them. with these films. They haven't like diverted massively and kind of gone off on huge tangents, like completely changing characters or anything. So usually a knowledge of who these characters are in the comics is like a fairly reasonable guide, let's say. So,
yeah, it's where it's some educated guesses basically on characters.
So basically, consider this from here on in spoilers. If we say something that gives something away from the film, don't come complaining to us, we warned you.
Yeah. We are going to do a review after we've seen the film on the 26th in the UK, so if you want...
Also, didn't you say you were getting the Marvel prequel comic as well?
That's been delayed. I got an email off Amazon today. It's been delayed till after the film comes out, but...
well, that's a shame, because we could have like referenced that as well.
Yeah, we'll review that afterwards. But
well, shame.
If you're watching this in America, we get the film before you, a week before you, so... But,
basically, yeah.
Yeah, so if you want to hear about the film, like the day it comes out, we're aiming to watch the film the 26th of March, get it reviewed, and have it up on the website, bronnexreview.com. So, anyway, so you've got some information on the computer. I'm going to keep the tablet handy for a little bit. So if we just kind of go through...
Yeah, we're mainly going on, like, confirmed things off IMDb, like, an actor's been cast to play this person, so we know at least somebody called this is going to be in the film, so we can make educated guesses from there on in. Naturally, Captain America's going to be featuring in this film, because otherwise it would be a very weird...
A bit like Blade 3. It's hardly in it.
But, yeah, he's an interesting character. 'Cause whenever people talk about comics, they often have to reference, this is going on the main continuity, this isn't like a spin-off or like a reboot, or... Captain America's one who's remained reasonably consistent. Even when it's come down to the fact that he was like active in the Golden Age during the Second World War, and then he's been active pretty much solidly throughout the Silver Age and all that, into like the modern era of comics. And he hasn't like either been hand-waved away like Iron Man or say Batman, who've been around as long in a lot of ways, but have kind of
changed the origin. Well, like the comparison you were making, that Iron Man originally was from Vietnam, where he was injured, and they've kind of updated it more recently. Whereas Captain America was always a World War II guy, so...
And rather than just like, he happens to still be alive or he's immortal or something, no, they specifically, he was frozen and then thawed out. It's the same character, the same continuity, the same character growth, if you like, 'cause he kind of stopped at the end of the Second World War, and then you picked him up again when he joined the Avengers when he was defrosted.
Yeah, fought alongside with Wolverine as well, didn't he?
Yeah, he's fought alongside a lot of kind of Marvel characters, because also Nick Fury. They haven't really referenced this at all in the films, but he's supposed to have a background that goes back solidly to the Second World War, and he was supposed to have fought besides Captain America during the Second World War. Now, from the way the films are going, I think they've kind of hand-waved that away, because they've gone for a more Ultimate Universe version of...
which was literally Samuel L. Jackson. They paid him to have his image, so when they brought him in the films, it wasn't a coincidence, it was, full circle kind of thing. But
yeah, the classic, if you like, Nick Fury, the white guy with the eye patch and the slightly greying hair.
I'll get a picture up.
Basically, he dated back to the Second World War as well, and was, for a time, though, I believe it's been changed now because he's lost this ability, but he was effectively really slow aging process because of this super serum he had. I don't think it was like a super soldier serum as such, like Captain America's. It was more something that made him, if not immortal, at least very long-lived. Because, yes, Wolverine was active during the Second World War as well, which again is why it's a bit of a shame that in some ways the Marvel films and the X-Men films aren't in continuity, because you're never going to get a crossover between kind of Wolverine as you saw him, in the nuking at the end of the Second World War. You're never going to see that Wolverine from that continuity crossing over with Captain America, even though they actually did cross over during the mainstream comics.
You're going to see an overlap, though, not a crossover, but an overlap with the Quicksilver character. We'll get to that pretty much at the end of the video.
Yeah, probably.
We're going to talk about what we think is going to be the post-credits scene. Pretty sure what that's going to be, but we'll get to the end of this video. I have to remember to throw that out there.
Yeah, kind of one of the major things we're going to get to, and this is definitely spoiler territory, is going to be the character of the Winter Soldier, basically the title of the film, who is this guy. I don't know how clearly you can see that.
Focusing.
The Winter Soldier, basically
To
a
the left.
kind of a
No, maybe to the left, just a little bit. There. Yeah, so you'll see him from the trailer. It's played by Sebastian Stan, who was in the first Captain America film as Bucky Barnes. Now, they did change his origins a bit. Do you want to...
spoiler here, it is the same person. It's not just the same actor happens to be playing the same person. The Winter Soldier is, at the very least in the comics, Bucky Barnes kind of resurrected.
Like, comparison is...
And hence the spoilers tag here, because if you didn't follow that and you didn't know who the Winter Soldier is, I don't know, they might admit it pretty early on in the film, or it might be a bit of a reveal if you're not a comic book fan, so...
Yeah, sometimes. I know they did that with like the Incredible Hulk. They kind of did it the big sort of reveal that General Ross was Betty Ross's father. As it, you know, for like fans that didn't already know that, but if you knew it, you knew it. If you didn't, it was like a big reveal kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, kind of going comparison between the comic book versions of Bucky Barnes and the film version from 2011. The original Bucky Barnes was kind of like Robin is in the Batman universe, like a sort of young sidekick.
Yeah, he wasn't just some random kid, though, that they happened to like saddle the Captain with. The mainstream like continuity of Bucky Barnes that ties into the Winter Soldier is basically his father died during the First World War, I think it is, which I believe is actually still canon, because I think there's a reference to it in the first film. Because in the first film, Bucky is not a kid.
He's pretty much equally.
It's about the same age as the Cap, and whereas Bucky naturally passes like the physical requirements to get into the army, it's Steve Rogers, Captain America, who doesn't, because he's like a bit of a skinny, short kind of wimp.
He's the guy at the beginning of the film where when Steve Rogers is getting beat up in that alleyway, and Bucky Barnes is the guy that comes and kind of beats up the guy that's beating him up. But he dies in the first film. There's a couple of things happen. He gets captured first of all by Hydra. And
which is kind of the event that leads Captain America into basically stopping being just like a poster child and actually getting involved and like
action kind of thing. But he rescues him, and at the time Bucky Barnes is being experimented on with this superhero serum, but it doesn't really go anywhere in that film. It was kind of like an open-ended thing that they were going to follow up, which obviously is what they've done. But and then later on, he goes back into service. Does Bucky Barnes? He ends up falling off a train during an
they're
operation.
fighting some Hydra goons in armour, and one of them
takes
out half the wall of the train, and he falls into a
chasm.
Icy chasm. Yeah, there's kind of a river below, and it's basically assumed that he's dead.
But,
now, in the comic books, he's not exposed to a super soldier serum that I can recall.
Well, what happened is they kind of explained, I think it was in the 60s one where they reintroduced Captain America, and it kind of explained what happened to Bucky, that they were chasing the Red Skull on like a motorbike, and Bucky kind of fell off and went into the river, and then Captain America fell in and froze kind of thing.
Well, the version of that I have is that they were basically on a missile, trying to stop a missile, and they fell off into the ocean.
Yeah, that's
basically the same kind of vague differences to how it happened, but the gist of it seems to remain the same. They were trying to stop the Red Skull doing something, and they both ended up kind of getting frozen.
Yeah.
Basically, Bucky Barnes was one of the best natural fighters they'd ever run across. I mean, of course, he wasn't as good as Captain America because he hadn't had the super soldier serum, but he wasn't just like a random kid. He was like an expert kind of hand-to-hand fighter. He's trained with the SAS and with like American Special Forces. So when he was like assigned to Captain America, it wasn't just a random kid sidekick. Yeah. Also, he was like open to kind of play some of the tricks that the Cap probably wouldn't or wasn't allowed to because of his image. He could be a bit more sneaky, if you like.
So that's pretty much who that character is in the comics, and in the film we're not quite sure. He seems to be some kind of like assassin, because
he certainly looks very similar. He seems to have the artificial arm, because when Bucky, however he ended up, however Bucky ends up getting frozen in like comics, basically he's found by the Russians and defrosted, and he's got amnesia and he's lost his arm. It was like torn off.
Yeah.
In whatever accident happened to basically cripple him.
They basically roll him out every now and again for a mission, but between missions they freeze him, which is how he's aged. Similar to how Captain America, hence
basically, the trauma of the incident where he lost his arm has basically rendered him amnesiac. He has still access to his fighting skills, his muscle memory, and he can still speak several different languages, which actually makes him very valuable to them, because he can speak in a perfect American accent, because naturally he's American. So as a spy, he's a good step above anybody else they had.
He's been brainwashed by the enemy kind of thing.
Yeah, it was a bit unpredictable in the comics, which is one of the reasons they kept freezing him, because they needed to ensure his loyalty, and they didn't really want him having too much time to think things through or remember his past or anything. So when he wasn't actively out kicking ass and killing people for the KGB, he was frozen and put in suspended animation. Now, in the comics, there is a strong connection between him and, quite a few other characters, but definitely with the Black Widow, who has been introduced so far. She was introduced in Iron Man 2, and again, fleshed out a lot better, in my opinion, during the Avengers Assemble.
Yeah.
Basically, in the comics, she's partially trained by the Winter Soldier. And in fact, the two of them were, at least at one point, lovers. So whether they're going to use this film as a way of also fleshing out Black Widow's backstory is currently unknown, because so far you don't really know much about her. She was a very mysterious character in Iron Man 2. She was simply spying on Tony Stark. And in Avengers Assemble, you found out a little bit more about her. You found out that she's...
red in her ledger.
Yeah, she puts it, basically she's killed people or she's done bad things. And that she also had some kind of strong connection to Hawkeye, which is pretty kind of accurate with the comic book character, actually, because she always did have
in the 60s.
Basically, when she was first introduced, she was actually a villain who was assigned to spy on Iron Man by the KGB. And she did actually convince Hawkeye into helping her against Iron Man as well, because the two of them had a relationship kind of back in the beginning.
I was in the 60s cartoon, they even covered that as well.
Yeah, she had a very funny costume when she first started out. She looked really dated.
She looked a bit like a dark version of the Scarlet Witch.
Yeah. Basically, in the extended comic book backgrounds, she actually comes from the 1920s as well. She's another character that, like Nick Fury, is a very slowed aging process, which again is how she has been trained by the Winter Soldier, who's also been around this very long kind of time space over the Cold War and everything from the Second World War, basically. In the Thing, she's trained by something called the Red Room, this KGB school for assassins, and she's also been brainwashed because she thinks she's somebody else and she's not. So, like I say, how much of that is going to carry over onto the films, we don't know, because she is actually in the comic books mildly superhuman. She has various genetic tampering and stuff to make her faster, stronger, smarter. Greatly reduced aging kind of process to explain why she still looks so young when she's well into coming up on 100 years basically.
A lot of this always goes back to Captain America, everything to super soldiers in sort of Marvel comics usually.
Yeah, he was kind of the first, and then a lot of other people tried to.
The Incredible Hulk was another example.
Yeah, either try and recreate his success or make their own super soldiers to counter him.
There are other characters in this, sort of characters that are fairly minor in well, I'll say minor, there's Falcon. I mean, do you want to go over
Yeah, the Falcon, Sam Winslow, he's a character, Sam Wilson.
Yeah.
A character that I'm vaguely aware of. He doesn't get a lot of play in the comics because he's got very weird powers, including the ability to telepathically communicate with birds. I'm not making that up, he really does. Definitely in the film they seem to be going more along the lines of the ultimate version of this character with the mechanical wings, and he's more of a soldier. Although even in the original comic books he had a strong friendship with Captain America because the Cap was an inspiration to the guy. So he looks pretty good in the film.
Yeah, so I'm thinking. I mean, obviously the look of the Falcon originally, it was like a white costume.
Yeah, it was like
red
a white
wings.
with red and like very like wing-like wings.
With white wings.
Well, you know what I mean, with like feathers, almost like they
like
were
traditional bird.
Yeah. Like I said, the one in the film just looks more like mechanical wings.
Yeah, to kind of fit in with the cinematic universe.
Yeah. Like I said, I think that's definitely a good idea because he doesn't look that good in the.
Yeah, I wouldn't.
And hopefully they've kind of dropped the slightly cheesy bird telepathy thing, which was very silly.
Yeah, kind of find that out. I think they'll do that. So, who else have we got? We've got Agent Maria Hill. That's
Yeah,
the character from
Kobe Smulders, I think, however you pronounce that.
Well done, you pronounced the name right for once.
Way!
Yeah, so she was established in the Avengers 2012 film, or Avengers Assemble as we call it in the UK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's also been in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. She was in the pilot episode, kind of talking with...
Coulson?
Yeah, Coulson from Bremen. See, you know, I've completely used my mojo now.
Non-name remember.
Remembering motherfucker now.
Right, well, so yeah, I mean...
Yeah, she's a fairly major character in the comic book universe, for like a supporting character. She had like issues with Fury, and when he was like AWOL, she was actually put in charge of S.H.I.E.L.D. for a while. Largely because she wasn't one of his kind of mainstay kind of go-to agents kind of thing. She was a bit more critical and like... Basically, she wasn't like a toady for him.
Yeah, and I know she was fairly big character in the Civil War.
Yeah, she was pro-registration and actually opposing Captain America because he was against the Superhuman Registration Act.
Very authoritarian sort of character when push comes to shove.
Also one of those kind of kick-ass characters, because although she doesn't have any powers or anything, she's like... Plenty of like times you see, you know, like running around with a big gun or something.
So as Bishop in Aliens would have said, not bad for a human. But other characters, who else? So we had Agent Carter, did Peggy Carter, I think.
Yeah, Peggy Carter, the woman he had a thing for in the Second World War. And also in this one, presumably you can see her in flashbacks, you also have Sharon Carter, who is presumably a close relative of hers. In the comics, she was originally the younger sister of the Carter character from like Captain America's like World War II like adventures, but kind of as the age gap got more and more ridiculous, they kind of fudged it a little bit and said no, she's actually her niece, not like her little sister. So in this, could still be a niece, could be some other kind of
is she
character.
In the present day, or is this character Sharon Carter?
Sharon Carter's is in the current day. She's been involved in a lot of kind of Captain America adventures with like
well, she won't be the
things
niece,
like AIM and stuff.
It'll be like 70 years after.
Well, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like in the movie, it could be like
grandpa.
Yeah.
They should have had it played by the same actress, like they did in the 1991.
No. No.
He can do his thing like, oh, you mind pulling over to the side, and then she gets out and then like pretends to be sick and then runs back into the car again. That'd be like his special power. You don't think they should go with that? No. Right. What about Plastic Shield? Yeah. No?
Well, he worked for Red Brown, but then again, he was Red Brown.
We're gonna do those.
And I'm sorry, Captain America. I like you and all, but you know Red Brown. I'm sorry.
Anyway, so other characters, Howard Stark is coming back in. He was established in Captain America, the First Avenger in 2011. Tony Stark's father, played by Dominic Cooper.
Also, you see him in Iron Man 2 because he's left like a video recording for his like son.
Yeah, played by a different actor, but yeah, he's in that as well. Did you want to cover the Crossbones character as well?
Well, we'll finish off the agents first. Jasper Sitwell is coming back.
Oh yeah.
He's another second string agent. If you pay a lot of attention to like the supporting cast, he's been in...
Thor was the first one.
Yeah, Thor, Iron Man... Oh, was he?
No, he was in Thor Avengers Assemble 2012, and I think just those two. He was in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and he was in the Marvel one-shot that came with the Avengers film.
Yeah, in the comics he's like an expert interrogator. I don't think that's really been brought up in the films. He's just another agent. He's
like a black guy with glasses, isn't he?
Yeah, they've changed his look quite a bit. I think he's just a white guy in the comic books. Also, I think he's the guy they're going to rescue in the kind of trailer when the basically like Captain America.
I've seen a clip of that. That's just true.
Yeah, Captain America, Black Widow, and you brought up the character Crossbones, Brock Rumlow, who again we're getting into spoiler territory here. In the comic books, Crossbones is a guy who works for the Red Skull. He's like a neo-Nazi mercenary type. In this, they have him recast as an agent of working for S.H.I.E.L.D. So he could very well be a double agent. So, like I said, that could be a spoiler there.
Played by Frank Grillo, who was in
Prison
Warrior.
Break.
Yeah, Prison Break. And he was Walling Prison Break and he got killed. And he was in, I'm not sure how recognisable he is, but he was in Warrior as well. He's been in a few other things. Pretty good actor anyway. So. He's in the trailer. He's the one that you see in the the
kind of VTOL kind of.
Yeah, the one.
I don't know if they're actually calling it
I
don't know if they're actually calling it the Quinjet or not, because that was the Avengers kind of main mode of transport, the Quinjet.
Like the X-Men or the X-Jet kind of thing. We're talking about agents now, so we might as well carry on with this.
There's also
Robert Redford.
He's also quite a big guy in the comics. He's a very loyal supporter of Nick Fury and has been involved in a couple of the like shady shadow operations that like Nick Fury's been involved in. Again, how close Alexander Pace is going to be to his comic book counterpart is kind of questionable, but
I imagine he's going to be the bad guy in the film. I've heard somebody say that, so I think that might be one of the twists kind of thing, that he's kind of turns out to be the bad guy.
It's a possibility, you never know.
I think it was Alex Jones that said that. He's not a film guy, but he tends to like get a lot of scripts and stuff for upcoming films from people leak.
Yeah, there's also Batroc the Leaper, although he's not going to use the full name. In the comics, he's like a costume mercenary who fights Captain America a few times. Very silly looking. He's got one of those costumes that just wouldn't transfer over to the screen at all. He almost looks like some kind of Mexican wrestler. It's a very bad costume. Although the movie version of him does wear the same kind of colour scheme, so
toned down slightly.
Yeah, he's definitely supposed to be the same guy. Although in this he's less of a costume mercenary and more of a terrorist, because he's the one that's captured this shield. I think it's like a freighter or something that they're going in to basically liberate.
I'll tell you what else as well. If you remember the Avengers, they had the World Security Council, the kind of shadowy men in smoky rooms that secretly control the world kind of thing. I know Powers Booth, the actor, was one of them. I don't think he's going to be in this, but Jenny Agutter, who she was, I know her from the Railway Children because my sister used to force me to watch that. But
bastard, that should be some kind of child abuse, isn't it?
International law crime. But she was in a few other things, she was in American Werewolf in London, I think she was in that as well. But she was in the Avengers.
Film that's much more acceptable to watch.
Yeah, than the Railway Children. So she's going to be in this because she was in the World Security Council, so she's going to be in this. There's another guy played by Alan Dale. I don't know if I've seen him in anything else. Is that? Hang on, Alan Dale. That's Jim Robinson out of Neighbours. Oh, he's in everything. He is. It was pretty cool back in the 80s. But anyway, also.
He's going to be a shadowy figure in the background somewhere. So
yeah, I didn't actually. I just saw his picture there. I was like, that's Jim Robinson out of Neighbours. Anyway. Also interesting, Gary Shandling. Who played Larry Sanders in the Larry Sanders Show. You might remember he played Senator Stern in Iron Man 2. He was the guy that was saying, we want you to hand over the Iron Man suit to the American people.
Yeah, it's amazing how annoying a little prick can be.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. Well, he's in this as well, so it's pretty good.
That's good, because I kind of like his character. He's kind of funny, basically just how much he was getting pissed off with Tony Stark.
Yeah, well, his character was in one of the... those graphic novels at Time, the official Cinematic Universe Time ones that I've been partly reviewing on Brand X Reviews.
Also, again going off IMDb, this is somebody who has been cast. They have actually cast somebody as Machete, who's also another mercenary type who fights Captain America.
Not the
Not-
shitty
not
Rodriguez
the,
film. Danny
Yeah,
Trejo.
God's sakes, I hated that film.
Yeah, it was
Shit.
terrible. Steven Seagal were in it as well.
We're not talking about the sequel, we're talking about the original here. I know some people like that for some goddamn reason. I have no idea.
Kind of rewinded a bit. You were hypothesising, is it the Quinjet? Well, it says here Quinjet pilot on
Yeah.
IMDb, so probably.
Well, like I say, whether it's going to be officially called that or not is up in...
Yeah. Other characters, and we're going to end this kind of by talking about the post-credits, but I mean, is there anything else you want
Well,
to
there's
talk
also
about?
Armin Zola's coming back. He was
yeah.
in the first Avenger. Basically played by Toby Jones. He was basically like the little scientist guy who's always getting pushed around by the Red Skull, like to do this and to do that kind of thing. Basically, he's pretty big in the comics because he's not just like a toady. He's like, I think he's actually fought Captain America a few times because although he did start out as just like a normal scientist, he developed this technology where he could transfer somebody's like mind basically into something else. Either another person, or in his case, he transferred it into an android body. And he ends up looking pretty weird and inhuman at some points, because he's not like limited by human form necessarily, so in some ways you might know him better as like this computerized face on a TV screen in the centre of some kind of huge robotic abomination trying to kill the captain.
Maybe like Krang out of the
Yeah, just less
Ninja Turtles,
less of like a weird mutant brain in his chest and more like a big computer screen there instead.
Oh, it's pretty much a cross between Baxter Stockman and Krang out of Ninja Turtles.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's back, and played by the same actor from the original Captain America.
Yeah, so whether he'll be moving more into his like comic book role of being like something other than human or not is unknown, or whether he's going to be staying as a kind of toady to the Red Skull, although he'd have had to, well, basically he would have to be in like Hulk eye makeup or something, because unless he hasn't aged since the Second World War.
Well, I imagine he's going to be there for flashbacks that explain what happened to the origins of the Winter Soldier when he was captured by Hydra, if that's where they're going, which appears to be the case. Anyway.
Yeah. So like I say, originally he's like, it's nothing really to do with Hydra, it's the KGB and like very slight elements within the Russian government that...
brainwashed him.
Yeah, the Winter Soldier program.
Yeah. Anything else?
So in fact, the Russians had a lot of the best like characters. Because
Yeah,
the Winter
that's a big
Soldier's
deal,
pretty
isn't it?
cool. There's the Black Widow's also like fairly awesome. I mean, there's been like more than one incarnation of her. And also one of the bigger like X-Men villains who fights Wolverine is a guy called Omega Red, who also was like created by them. So they managed to create some very like cool comic book characters out of the kind of super soldier programs they had. But anyway, you wanted to talk about
if that's
Scarlet Witch and
obviously with these Avengers films, all the Marvel ones they've done, they have a post-credit scene, or they might have two. They might have one that's like halfway through the credits, and then another one that's after the credits, like they did
just to
before.
catch people who've like, right, that's the end thing, we can go now.
Yeah, exactly.
They reward people who will stubbornly sit there throughout the entire damn thing.
And a lot
like
of cases,
us.
it's tied into like the next film or one of the next
Yeah.
films down the line.
The Avengers one was a bit, because it didn't really
It was
tell you
Thanos,
much.
wasn't it? I mean, it's to be picked up, but
Alright, well no, yeah, I was thinking about the other one where they're all sat around in that like restaurant place, like not really doing anything.
I don't know if they showed that in cinema in the UK. I think it is on the Blu-ray.
But yeah, you're right, the Thanos one, yeah. But the
The
Iron Man
was
3 one was...
It was a joke. It was funny, but it was a bit of a throwaway.
Yeah.
And then we had the
So I actually didn't even get that was supposed to be like...
the Hulk.
Yeah, that he was talking to until you like mentioned it to me. Cause it's like, oh yeah, thing Gruffalo, isn't it? I keep forgetting that he's like the Hulk now.
The Gruffalo? He said Gruffalo, right? Paste the word Gruffalo with a big question mark on the screen. Are we still recording?
What the hell's his name then? I thought it was like
Mark Ruffalo.
Ruffalo.
Not Gruffalo.
I know that's how I remember it. It's like the Gruffalo. No.
Fair enough, just don't say it in the middle of a video.
I'm a name forgetting motherfucker. We've established this.
But, so, big question is, what's it going to be this time? Well, I've heard fairly reliable source that it's they're going to introduce the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver, which are to be properly introduced in Avengers Age of Ultron in 2015. I think part of the reason that they're wanting these characters established in the Marvel universe is because these are characters. Well, Quicksilver particularly is a character who's owned also. Well, 20th Century Fox have a right to this character as well when they're doing the X-Men films. So the films aren't going to cross over, but the character is going to overlap. Played by a different actor. There's no continuity between the X-Men and the Avengers. But the character's going to be in both. So it's similar to 1983 when you had 2 James Bond films by different studios. They weren't connected at all, but their characters obviously overlapped.
Yeah.
But from what I've seen, I'm going to try and look this up while I've got it on, but the Quicksilver from the X-Men Days of Future Past does look a bit ridiculous. And they're going to introduce a different Quicksilver in Avengers 2, and from what I've heard, that one looks a lot better in terms of costume design.
Certainly, Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch are, like, again, fairly big name Avengers. They kind of started out as bad guys in the X-Men, but they more like properly made their mark on the Marvel Universe as characters in the Avengers, having turned against their father Magneto.
Days of Future Past, but it looks
it looks very silly.
This is the one that you're going to see in Days of Future Past. Looks a bit kind of ridiculous.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's going to look a bit silly anyway, basically. And they're going to allegedly be in the end credits scene after Captain America 2. So, well, not this one. That's the 20th Century Fox version. So we'll see what they look like in that. Played by different actors.
Yeah, I think they've cast them already on there. I think they've cast the Scarlet Witch.
Olsen and I can't remember the name of the other guy that's playing him.
Yeah.
Escapes my mind. But so they're going to be in that and properly established.
Yeah, I'm certainly going to be interested into what costume they go with, because Quicksilver's has always been that kind of like lightning bolt effect, but Scarlet Witch has gone through a lot of different iterations of her costume, from one that was described as Gypsy Hawk costume, although actually I thought it looked quite good.
That's quite good.
She's had like at least 3 or 4 different kind of versions of her costume. I kind of think of her in terms of what's her name? That DC character.
No idea.
It'll come to me in a minute.
I think I know what you mean actually. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's played by Elizabeth Olsen in the film anyway, and Quicksilver is going to be played by Aaron Taylor Johnson, who was in films like Kick-Ass 1 and 2.
Yeah, I've not seen those. I've heard the first one's actually quite good. The second one, a bit more mixed reviews of.
Well, Elizabeth Olsen is obviously is the youngest sister of the Olsen twins. Which isn't a good thing, but guilt by association. But anyway, I think she was in Kick-Ass as well. I might be wrong about that, but I think I'm wrong. Forget that. But so I mean, it's clear at this point anyway that they're introducing a lot of characters into the Marvel films, and they basically got a lot of room to expand and kind of go further with them, as they go. So, like we'll say at the beginning of the video, if Chris Evans leaves the franchise, therefore no more Captain America, they're building a pretty big cinematic universe to kind of branch off. So,
and the Avengers has always been a melting pot of like literally every damn character's been an Avenger at some point or another.
I think the more they throw out, the more they're going to have a feel for which characters are popular with fans, therefore get their own film, or start off with their own film first, like they do with Ant-Man and all the others. Doctor Strange, obviously, is one that they're kind of investing in somewhere down the line. That was not the one that's going to be released in May 2016. That's, like we were saying at the beginning, Captain America 3. So presumably Doctor Strange will be the one after that. So it'll be late 2016 at the earliest. So it'll be interesting to see. I know there were rumours that Johnny Depp was possibly going to be cast as Doctor Strange, but I think he's come out and said no, he isn't. So that's that. Other interesting things, Paul Bettany, who does the voice for Jarvis in the Iron Man films, that's Iron Man's computerised butler voice thing that he's got. He's actually going to be playing the Vision in Avengers Age of Ultron.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting because in the comics, Vision was basically
Ultron's creation to destroy.
Yeah, also I have it on fair authority that he ends up getting
Children
hitched
with,
to Scarlet Witch.
Yeah, there's children.
Yeah, the children thing gets really complicated.
Yeah, because they turn out to like not be real or something.
Yeah, it gets really
I've
kind
read
of...
those. But yeah, what are you looking up? Anything?
I'm just trying to remember what the hell that character's name is because it's pissing me off now.
Is it the Raven or something?
No, it's not Raven. It's the other magic
Raven.
person.
Right. We went off on a bit of a tangent before, like thinking who the Scarlet Witch reminds him of from the DC.
Yeah, she's basically like the top hat and kind of...
I think who you mean. There's probably going to be people watching this.
Yeah, who are going like...
Screaming.
Yeah, I know the name, I know the name,
you're
but suddenly...
remembering mother...
And
Can you say it wrong and then I can like scroll it across the screen with a big question mark?
Get stuffed.
Maybe we'll have to just like add it into the end credits or something.
Yeah, I'm going to put it in the bloody...
in the end credits.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I think we'll wrap it up anyway. He's obviously gone off on his
God damn it!
But yeah, so apart from that cart, is there anything else to add?
No, I can't think of anything. Yeah, Zantana, after some quick wikiing, that's who I was trying to remember.
So that's a character who reminded you of these.
Yeah, basics of all the different iterations of a costume. It's kind of the same costume, but they've gone different versions of it.
Right.
They kind of do the same with Scarlet Witch.
We'll leave it there now. Yeah, so like we say, the film's released on the 26th of March in the UK, so for some reason Britain's getting this a week before the Americans. So if you're watching this in America and you want to get a review of the film as soon as possible, brandxreviews.com, and we'll let you know what happens in it, and there should be a few spoilers and stuff, but we'll warn you before we do them anyway. So that's pretty much it, so thank you very much for watching. That's pretty much it, so thank you very much for watching.
Yes.
Like you've been you in years.
No!